talk about the four-letter F word that I feel like I will continue to talk about until I'm blue in the face, because it really is the thing that is keeping so many people stuck. So many people are feeling stuck, and this four-letter F word that I can actually say without bleeping it out is fear. So, hi Jennifer, thanks for hopping on. So, we're going to talk about it. We're going to do it, right? So, I have figured out some of the most common fears that we have when it comes to business, because that's what we're going to talk about. Not about life, we're going to talk about business. So let's talk about the fear of success, which is a big one. So when you really look, when you think about the fear of success and you kind of break it down, what is really the fear? It's change, right? Because if success means change, right? Let's just be honest. Success is change. Success also means money, an increase in money. Some people are afraid of money. I used to be afraid of money. Not even gonna lie to you. Losing it all, that was a big one, especially for me. I was afraid that I was going to lose it all. And funny thing, that this fear of losing it all, I was able to trace back to my childhood at a time, and this is crazy. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of EFT, but I was working with a gal a couple of years ago when I was struggling really bad with sciatica. And this gal, her name is Elda Dorothy. She's amazing. Her business is Compassionate Truth. She does EFT, the tapping, right? And so we worked through this thing I was holding on to about losing it all.
We are live on
Sorry.
Facebook.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Let me turn that off.
So
I just
excited.
finished
So happy
recording
you could
this
join us
video.
today.
Okay, there we go. I just finished recording this video and had to add text to it. And so when you export it, it automatically starts playing, and I completely forgot about that. Sorry. Oh, that was scary. Okay, so anyways, so I had this fear of losing it all. And it came from when I was 5 years old. I was in the hospital for several weeks. And my grandmother bought me all of these strawberry shortcake dolls. And it was getting ready time for us to go home from the hospital, and my mom had put all of my strawberry shortcakes in like a black trash bag, and the next day they were gone. We don't know if they were stolen. We don't know if they thought they were garbage and threw them away by accident. We don't know. They were gone, and I was devastated, right? So that, when we talked about losing it all, which comes along with fear of success, I was able to trace back where this fear of losing it all came from. And so tracing it back, I've talked about, some of you may have heard my story about my fear of disappointing others, and how that came from, my dad telling me he was disappointed in me after I skipped school and we got caught, and he wasn't angry, he was disappointed. And I learned how much that hurts, to not only to lose all my strawberry shortcakes, but what it feels like to disappoint someone. I never wanted that to happen again. So we learn to adapt, and we learn to try to avoid those feelings as much as possible. And I carried that stuff with me in my business. I carried disappointing others into my business. I carried losing it all into my business, and it sucked. The other piece of fear of success is, can you handle it? Am I equipped to handle the success that might come my way? Could I handle being a photographer who, by the way, retired now? So excited to tell you guys that. I've retired officially from photography. But I kept myself small for a long time because I was worried that I wouldn't be able to actually handle the increase of work, because I wasn't charging enough. And when you don't charge enough money, you have more clients, but I couldn't keep up. I was working a full-time job, and doing photography on the side. And what I should have done was charge more money, because charging more money would have meant I would have had less clients and made the same, you know what I mean? Like made more or the same amount. And it also kept it kept people from feeling like I was serious about being a business. When you charge, when you're too cheap, people don't take you seriously. And I actually discovered that when I was a cheap photographer, people treated me like crap. They expected everything from me. They wanted something for nothing every single time. And it sucked, you guys. It sucked. And then when I raised my prices, boy, were people mad. The people that, they were like, well, I can't afford that. And I'm like, you're not just paying for pictures. You're paying for the education, my equipment, all of the marketing, everything goes into the cost. And so when you look at a service-based business and you think, oh, they're really expensive. If you only knew, if you only knew the expenses that go along with operating a business, like, I don't even know sometimes how I made ends meet, because I had studio rent, I had equipment, I had taxes, I had insurance, I had all of these things that I had to pay for. And people just thought, well, you're just showing up with your camera, like what's the big deal? Actually a lot, right? And so it took me probably about a good 3 years, you guys, of running a photography business to understand that I needed to treat it like a business and not like a hobby. And I got support along the way, but then I disappointed people, right? The yes person, that was me. I didn't want anyone to be upset. I wanted to say yes to everyone, and it wound up, I was overwhelmed, I was stressed, I was overworked, I was exhausted. Something had to give, right? And my family suffered because of it. So that is all about the fear of success. I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to handle the increase of clients. So I just keep myself small. And then, you know what I mean? That I can't lose anything. If I'm small, I have nothing to lose, right? But putting myself out there, becoming bigger, becoming better, charging more money, I could lose it. Fear of rejection. This is one that a lot of people struggle with, especially when they are working as an affiliate for another company, is making phone calls or messaging people or just reaching out to people and trying to offer their products or services. They are afraid that someone is going to say no. And so they assume that someone will say no, so they don't even bother reaching out, because they are like, well, nobody wants this anyway, so I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna ask them. And it comes down to worthiness. Is really kind of the bottom line, is that people fear rejection because they don't feel worthy of receiving. So they assume that the answer is no. I know, it's crazy. Fear of failure. So I'm sure you guys know that I don't really believe in failure, but it still comes up a lot as a fear. And so it's really, if you break down failure, really what it is that things don't work out the way that you intended. Really, that's what it is. Things didn't work out the way you thought that they would, or the way that you wanted them to. Okay? And so what do you do about that? Things don't work out. You launch this big program, or you develop a product, or you're selling a service, or you become an affiliate for a company, and you put all of your heart and soul into this thing, and it doesn't work out as you planned. What do you do next? Well, I'll tell you. If you followed me, you know about the story about the Dyson vacuum cleaner, and how he spent 5 years and created 5,126 prototypes. What if the first one didn't work and he would have said, well, screw it, I guess that didn't work out the way I planned, so I'm going to give up? You could give up. Or you could persevere. And you could say, well, that didn't work, so what can I do differently next time? What am I going to do differently to improve, or to, you could get feedback. There's so many things you can do. You can hire a coach. You can hire a marketing strategist or a business strategist or social media strategist, or whatever that looks like for you. Getting the support that you need to figure out, what are you going to do differently next time? Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. If it doesn't work, you got to figure out a new plan. Plain and simple. Fear of regret. The what ifs, I should haves, shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? That's exactly what fear of regret is looking back and saying, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or I should. You cannot live there. You cannot live there. And allowing fear of regret to, regret of doing the work, regret of not doing the work, because the regret is, I should not have done this. This was a big mistake. I should not have bought that program. I should not have hired that person. I should not have, that was a waste of money, right? Time and money are the two things that really keep people stuck. They're afraid to spend money because they're afraid they're not going to have it. They're afraid to invest money because what if I spend money on a coach and it doesn't work? The only way that it doesn't work is if you don't do the work. FYI, that's a little tip nugget for you. If you hire someone and it doesn't work out, look at you. What did you not do? Okay, you have to do the work. Otherwise, you're the one wasting the money, right? How about the fear of looking silly or stupid or not smart enough? That comes through a lot for people, where they are just feeling like that they're not enough. They're not smart enough. They don't have all the answers. What if you don't have to know all the answers? But what if instead you knew where to find the answers? I think that is more important and more powerful than knowing all the answers, is knowing where to find the answers. So if you are worried that you are not smart enough to give a presentation, yesterday I did a podcast episode with the Silverdale Chamber of Commerce, and we talked about one of the ways to combat imposter syndrome is to teach the thing that you want to learn. Teach what you want to learn. And why is that? Because when we are in a position where we need to teach, we learn everything we can about the topic, right? If I wanted to, let's say, for example, if I really wanted to learn photography skills really, really well, I would teach them, because it would force me to have to learn all the things, because I don't want to sound stupid, right? So teaching is a good way to overcome imposter syndrome. Okay, the fear of disappointing others, not letting other people down. So we've talked about that before. I talked about that earlier even in this little episode here. The fear of disappointing others. Are you worried that someone is going to be disappointed? And so that keeps you stuck because you don't want to disappoint someone. What if you can't live up to their expectations? Right? That's disappointing someone. What if they don't love your product or service as much as you do? Right? So we stay small, because if we put ourselves out there and someone doesn't like it, we disappoint them. And that can be really scary. The fear of being judged, not being accepted, and not being perfect. That's a big deal. I don't know how many times people have said, but what will they think? What will people think of me? I hear this a lot when, especially in people that are affiliates, and you may notice people go sometimes from one company to another, to another, to another. They haven't quite found the company that really fits with them, and they are so worried. What are people going to think about me? That I'm a kidnapper, or that I don't know what I'm doing, or right, there's this thing of that you have to explain yourself why you left that company and why you're with another company, and it's this thing of it kind of keeps people stuck from making those decisions, is because they're so worried about what other people are going to think about them. And then the fear of really just not being good enough, that people are going to find out that you don't really know what you're doing. So I actually have a story that I can share about that. It's not my story, but the founder of Polka Dot Powerhouse, Shannon Crotty, she shares a story frequently about when she first started the company. She had one person join. One person joined Polka Dot for the first several months, and everybody was telling her to quit. And then as it started to actually grow, and people wanted to they wanted to expand it, and they wanted to have a Polka Dot in their area, and in this area, and this area. And you know what she said? She was so worried about doing that because she was worried that people were going to figure out that she didn't know what she was doing. They're going to find out that I am a fraud. They're going to find out that I'm just making this up as I go, right? I've been there. I have been there where I felt like I didn't really know what the hell I was talking about, and then I was just making it up as I go. Yeah, not currently, but previously, that has definitely happened to me. So when we are struggling with those fears, fear of success, fear of rejection, fear of failure, regret, looking silly or stupid or disappointing or not smart enough, fear of disappointing others, fear of being judged, fear of not really being good enough, what is that fear actually keeping you from doing? What are the results of that fear? So some of the ones that I've noticed are you take no action because you're too scared to try. You overanalyze everything. So you are in constant overanalysis paralysis, where you're planning. You're in a constant state of planning, but you don't actually do anything. You're just planning. You're a professional planner. A professional planner for your business, that you're not actually doing anything about it. You don't make the time to actually do the things you need to do. So you distract yourself with busy tasks that are not actually focused on getting you to your goals. You sabotage your own success. When things start working out really well, guess what? You find a way to make yourself go right back to square one. And then you play the victim about it. Oh, yes. I know you do. A lack of confidence in your abilities. So you use fear and the fear of to impact your confidence, right? So you say, well, I'm not actually good enough. You're not willing to do what you need to do in order to educate yourself. And what is it that you really need to make you feel that you're capable, right? Confidence is really just the belief in your ability. That's really what confidence is, right? And when we don't believe in ourselves, right? Waiting to be perfect before you move forward. This is a big one. When everything is perfect, then I will. When everything is perfect, then I will. I call that living life on layaway. Your business is on layaway. You're waiting for things to be perfect before you move forward and actually do the things that you need to do to get the customers, to do workshops, to become a speaker, to whatever that looks like, right? You're waiting for everything to be perfect. And guess what? It never will be perfect. Okay? So the next question is, where does your fear come from? So I talked about my childhood experience about disappointing others. I talked about my childhood experience about my fear of losing it all. I was able to trace back those fears to where they originated from, because once I can become aware of them, then I can identify, oh, that's what's showing up right now, right? I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint someone, and I'm relating this back to here. So being aware of it allows me to say, okay, this is what's showing up. What am I going to do about it? Is this logical? Right? Am I overthinking it? What is really the fear? Like, really, the next step I want you to do is actually think about what is the worst possible thing that could happen. If your fear were to come true, what is the worst thing that could happen? What if you have a fear of speaking in front of others? Let's just say that as an example. Your fear of speaking on stage or speaking to a group or whatever is your fear is that you're not going to sound smart enough. You're going to stumble over your words. You're going to say and so all the time. What if you have stage fright? What if you have your underwear tucked into your dress tucked into your underwear? You have toilet paper on the bottom of your shoe. What if your microphone doesn't work? What if, right? All of a sudden your stomach is like growling and you really need to go to the bathroom, right? What is the worst thing that could happen if you have a fear of speaking on stage? What's the worst thing that could happen if you actually did it? What's the best thing that could happen if you actually did it? Right? So really sitting there and going, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen? I could look stupid. I could fall off the stage like Dave Grohl of Foo Fighters did. Lady Gaga fell off the stage, right? People fall off stages. What if that were to happen? What would you do, right? Models have fallen off the runway and tripped and fallen and broken ankles and whatever. And you know what they do? Do you know what they do? They get back up. They get back up. And people will applaud and cheer and ask if you are okay, because mistakes happen, accidents happen, right? What's the worst thing that could happen? Will you become homeless if you fall off the stage? No, which is a legitimate fear for people. We need a place to live. We need food in our bellies, right? We need clothing. Will you lose those things? Will you lose your basic necessities if your worst fear came true? Okay? So 80% of success is just showing up. 80% of success is just showing up. And do you know what cures fear? It's one word. I have one word to cure fear. Are you ready? Action. Do the thing anyways. Do it anyways. Even when you're scared, do it anyways. Okay? And fear is a 4-letter word. What if you were to turn that 4-letter word into something else, right? Instead of fear, what if you change it into face everything and rise? Face everything and rise. Instead of being scared, you say, okay, this is what I'm up against right now, and this is what I can do about it. This is where it's showing up. This is how I'm feeling. What is the thing that I need to do to move through it? It's not about getting over it, but it's about moving through it. What support do I need? Is there someone I can call? I'm out of my comfort zone. Who's my comfort zone buddy that's going to pep talk me through the fear? Okay? So the other thing that I find really fascinating, and I wish I could remember where I learned this from. Maybe it was Mel Robbins. I want to say it was Mel Robbins. Whoever it was brilliant in saying that our bodies, our brains and our bodies don't know the difference between fear and excitement. And you can trick your body and your brain. If you're feeling scared, you can trick it by saying, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about speaking on stage, for example. Instead of saying, I'm so scared about speaking on stage, you could say, I'm so excited. And your body, your brain doesn't know the difference. I think it's brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So those are some things that I wanted to share with you today about fear and self-sabotage, and some things that you can do to move through them. So have a support buddy. hire a coach, figure out, like, trace it back, what is showing up for you? Why is it showing up? Think about a time in your life when you had that similar feeling or experience, and acknowledge it and get help. Okay? Get help. Get help. We're here to help you. Okay? So success is showing up. 80% of success is showing up. You never know what's going to happen when you show up. Beautiful, magical things will happen. So I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for hopping on and joining me for this very impromptu Facebook Live. And I'm excited to launch our next challenge. Our next 5-day challenge will start on November 18th. And I hope to see you. I am really excited to I want to focus my next challenge on helping service-based entrepreneurs. So if you know someone who is a photographer or a lawyer or, a house cleaner, anybody that provides a service, not necessarily selling a product, but providing a service, I really want to be able to help them. And then possibly the next round I will do is maybe more product-based. But for right now, I want to focus my energies on helping service-based entrepreneurs, really get out of their head and get into action. So I would love your referral. I would love you to, invite anyone to this group that you think might benefit from just learning. This is all about learning. It's not about selling. It's all about learning. So I just enjoy it. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Happy Saturday. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you later. Bye now.